Hello all. Thank you for joining us. My name is Steve Birmingham with Intellias. Today, we will be discussing how Infor CloudSuite Benefits can improve your enrollment experience. We're going to take you on a tour of the benefits modules offered in CloudSuite or Infor HR Talent and the value it can bring to your organization. If you are running S3 benefits, we're happy you're here to look at the improved functionality. And please note that Intellias can help you start planning for your upgrade. Today's presenter is one of our HCM experts, Brittany Johnson. Brittany is a certified HCM functional consultant here at Intellias and was previously employed as an Infor customer. Her background offers a very unique insight into the practical application of Infor solutions and helps deliver thoughtful strategies and results to our clients. Brittany today will be sharing her insights and best practices. We welcome questions during this session. Please feel free to ask those questions throughout via the chat window. We will certainly try to get to your question, but if not, we'll definitely follow up with an answer for you. Finally, this presentation is being recorded, and we will provide that to everyone after. So before I hand it over to Brittany, I'm just going to let you all know a little about us. Intellias, we were established in 1999. We're headquartered in Dallas, but do have our technical hub in the Chicagoland area. We are an Infor Alliance partner with certified Infor consultants, including Brittany. Our consulting services include the application and the technical side. If you are looking to migrate to CloudSuite or even looking for continued S3 assistance, Intellias can help. Right above it mentioned software offerings. These are S3 offerings, as well as we have new CloudSuite offerings in the payroll area, as well as applications for financials and supply chain. Should you be interested in that, feel free to reach out to us as well. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and I will now hand it over to Brittany.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are today. Today, we are going to discuss the Infor HR Talent Benefits module. And today, I'm going to display a quick demo of going through a new hire life event, and also then we will do a marriage life event for an employee. I will also demo the employee space and the things that the employees can see from a benefits perspective after that. And then we will have the full cycle from the benefits administrator perspective, where they will finalize and review any required documentation for the life events that we participate in from the employee perspective. But before we get into the demo, I would like to tell you a little bit about the benefits module overall. This is a module within the HR Talent CloudSuite HCM application. This offers very flexible tracking of employee, retiree, and COBRA participant benefits. There are 4 main processes used within the module. That's the setup, enrollments, maintenance, and report. This module offers a more enhanced employee experience compared to Lawson S3 benefits. And here's just a slide that we will share with you all, just giving some insight on what's included in each one of the processes. Of course, setup is getting all of the preliminaries and the plans set up within the system to use. The enrollments, of course, that is the main portion that we will be discussing today. Maintenance is, of course, just running different jobs. And if you're using the S3 process, of course, you know about the nightly benefit jobs that you run. Of course, these jobs are just a little different within GHR. And then thereafter, the reports and utilities. And we will not, discuss in detail all of the processes, but This is just a quick overview for how the module is split up. And here on this slide here, we have just more details about enrollments and everything that's pretty much included in making up an enrollment, from the setup to the view for employees and everything that employee can do in self-service as well. And now I will transition to the demo piece, and a lot of that out of there will make more sense once we go through the demo. So here I am in the GHR CloudSuite module, and I am the employee role. And this is a good place for us to view the different items that an employee can see here. We see our benefits area on our navigation screen. An employee can view their benefits. We will come back to the My Benefits screen once this particular employee goes through the life event of a new hire event. We'll then be able to see the benefits that the employee has enrolled in. Any dependents and or beneficiaries that an employee may have tied to their record, they will also be able to view them in real time here. And at any time, if your organization sets this up to do so, they can add a beneficiary. Here we have our life events. Currently, we see that this employee is eligible for the new hire life event. This employee was hired on 6/1, and during his hire, the generalist added an event date for his benefits of 6/1. So of course, this automatically populates on the employee screen. So once they have access, the benefits team does not have to do anything extra. The employee will just be able to come out here to the benefits portal and see that they have a life event that they'll be able to complete. And any benefits information from an organization perspective, if you have any summary plan documents or any information that you would like readily available to employees throughout their tenure, you can just add that information here and have those documents and links to the different vendors. This is just a really good place to store documentation and information for benefits. Your open enrollment packets that you may use, this is really a good place for that information because it's readily available to all employees. So now we will actually complete the life event from the employee perspective. And notice that everything here is extremely configurable within the verbiage, the items that display, whether or not the options that are available to the employee. Everything is really configurable from the benefits admin perspective, and it's pretty simple to configure on your end. And here we see we have our new hire event. We have our event date and our enrollment period, which these dates are set on our enrollment. During the new hire, if the employee would like to update or add any email, contact, phone, or IM, or any contact information here, they have the option to add that during this life event here. Dependents. We're going to add a dependent for Ms. Rebecca today. We will add a son. And as we can see on the form, there's a lot of different information that can be entered on the dependent. Of course, this is a child, so we're going to use the same as the resource resident address. But something that I find that is interesting that I do like about this, if we have a life event where there's the birth of a child, of course, the social security number is not readily available. So this is not a required field. Of course, once they do receive that information, they could come and update their dependent, but we're going to submit this. And our dependent has been created. we see that the dependents are automatically in the beneficiaries area, and we could also add additional beneficiaries. Here, we are in the enrollment worksheet area, and we're going to view the worksheet. And the worksheet is a complete breakdown of all of the plans that are available, the premiums at the pre-tax, after-tax, total contribution, and employer rates here. We see the different coverage options that are available and the different premium amounts with the different plan types here. We see our health savings, our supplemental life, and our different types of plans. So this is just a worksheet if they wanted to print this worksheet off or, take some time to view this worksheet. Just because the employee has begun the life event, of course, there's different statuses that are available. So for example, it could be in draft status or submit status or pending status or finalized. There are multiple different statuses that the life events could be in. Even once they submit, they're still able during the enrollment window period to go back into the life event and make any changes or edits that they need to make. So that's just something to remember, that they have options up until the last day of the enrollment there. We have here a change smoker status. And of course, if your organization does not necessarily have employees change their smoker status on their own, this is configurable and does not necessarily have to display. We have our benefit plans. We have different medical calculators and different items here that are interactive that the employee could use, different videos on what is an HSA, plan comparisons, just really good information here that's just readily available for the employee to view during the enrollment. The next item we'll have is just the enrollment itself, where they're actually enrolling into the specific plans. And so here on the left side of our navigation menu, we see our plan options. So for health, we'll select our benefit choices, and this employee will enroll in the employee plus children, the high deductible health plan. We automatically get a message here that says minimum number of dependents not selected. Because it is plus children, we have to enroll the dependent. So we'll select here to enroll our dependent, to enroll our son. And you could also add an additional dependent here as well if a dependent was not added prior to. And we can save and return to enrollment. Let's see here, all eligible dependents are enrolled and our plan has been selected for health. Next, we have our health savings account, which we are eligible for because we are enrolled in the high deductible health plan. Here, you have options on the amount. We could have an annual total by year end, additional year-to-date contribution, or a per pay period amount, depending on how the employee would like to enter that information. And just notate, we have our annual limits there as well. We are now enrolled in the $50 per pay period for the health savings account, and we also see the employer portion as well. Here we have the supplemental life plans. And this employee is enrolling in the life waiver. Yes, so that specifically is set up this way because I wanted to make sure I discussed how the waive plans work. So for example, within our health options, we had the high deductible, we probably had a traditional, and then we also had a waive plan. or an employee just decides to completely waive that option, so that you will also know they do not want this specific coverage. So every employee, whether your enrollment is passive or active, you'll know whether they're enrolled in a plan and they have opted out of that plan specifically. We have our disability plans here. Our spending accounts. We have our FSA and our FS dependent care married. So we have our different options. Here we have our defined contribution plan, which will be our retirement plans. We have our 401k and our 403b, and our Roth as well. We will select the 401k. Access for percent or amount. Okay. So this employee has successfully enrolled in the plan. So now we have to attach some documentation here. And typically what we see is we see the verbiage specifically saying you're required to attach the birth certificate or a marriage license. We'll see that on the next life event that we complete. But for new hires, there may not be documentation that's required that hasn't already been collected during the new hire process. Here, if we did have any errors, warnings, and messages, they would display here for us to see. And now the employee can submit their enrollment. Okay. The employee can also view their confirmation. And we see here the confirmation sheet just shows us everything that this employee has enrolled in and that this employee has selected to waive 2 of the plans here. I would like to, at this point, toggle to the benefits views just so we can close this life event completely full cycle, so you'll be able to see that. Here I am in the application as the benefits manager under the benefits navigation menu here. And we see all of the options, which I was discussing earlier about the plans, the maintenance, the reports, and the enrollment events. That's essentially just how the module is broken up within the navigation here. And I'm automatically on the benefits life events panel. And here we see all of my current life events that I have here. So we could have a multitude of different options. And if I were to look at my new hire database table here, I see that I have 2 in draft, 1 that started and 1 that's been submitted and another that is finalized. So this just gives you an overview of your dashboard of what's happening and what you have to do for the day. From a benefits administrator perspective, this is, of course, the life event area will be the main space where you would do majority of the work. And here, I just want to look at all of the enrollments in more detail. So here we see that Rebecca Lawson has submitted her life event and it is pending approval of documentation here. So we have to approve that documentation prior to us finalizing, and that is a configurable thing as well. So here we see all of the information. We could also view this from the enrollment view, which is what we pretty much just did, but from the benefits perspective, and it looks exactly the same, but just in case you would like to test something or see what a particular employee is seeing, you always have that option to view it from the enrollment view. So here we see the documentation that I did attach, and we see that it is pending, and we are going to approve and save. And then our option to finalize automatically populates for us because now that the documentation has been approved, this item can be finalized. So for example, during open enrollment, if you're not doing a passive enrollment, you may have hundreds and thousands of submitted life events, and there may be some documentation. Once the team has gone through each life event and reviewed the documentation, you could do a mass finalization on a specific type of life event. Or also you could all do these finalizations one by one for your, your life events that are few and far between, like your marriage, and your birth of a child, the things that just happen throughout the year. So I'm going to finalize. And there are a lot of options. I'm going through this pretty quickly due to time, but you could also send confirmation emails. There could be automation, automatic emails that go out once the event has been confirmed and submitted and finalized. You could have a template that automatically sends the confirmation worksheet to the employee, and vice versa. So that would be the full cycle there for that particular life event. But now what I wanted to show you guys was before we came into this new hire under my benefits, we did not see any plans. However, now that this employee has completed the new hire life event, we now see the plans that the employee is enrolled in. We see the coverage options, the contribution amount here, the pre-tax and the employer portion. We see our dependents that are enrolled, any additional plan information that you may have attached to the plan, they'll be able to do that. And if they wanted to visit the vendor website, that is also an option that is available here. But it's real time and it's extremely fast and it's really, really easy to use and very user-friendly from an employee perspective, that they always have access to view their benefit items here. And we also see on the dependent screen, our son here, Infor Lawson, he's enrolled in the benefits plan. It tells us the start date and it also tells us the end date. And I wanted to point this out because as we see, he is 5. And during this date, he should be at the age of 26. So of course, it automatically, once we set up the parameters on the plan, we can automatically set up the plan parameters to end the children once they're 26 based on either the birth date, end of the year, or any specific date that we would like. So that's just something I wanted to point out there. Okay, so we're back to our life event screen here. We do not show any current life events right now. However, we do see our historical life event that we have completed. And once again, they could view that life event if we were to click on that hyperlink there. So the next life event that I wanted to display today would be marriage. And here we see the employees have the options to add a life event. So we have options of child loss, address change, adoption, birth of a child, marriage, and new hire. The new hire event technically will not show up once they are out of the enrollment event date period, but it is still showing up for us because this employee is still technically enrolled for, it's still eligible for that life event. We're going to do marriage today. Okay. And now we see that we have a current life event. So we're going to open this life event. We see here our event date is today and our dates have changed for our enrollment period per the settings that we have on the specific enrollment event or life event. So we have May 26th through July 29th. That is the enrollment period that the employee is eligible to update their benefits, change their benefits, add their spouse, and make other changes. Here we have some information specific to the employer that they would like you to inform HR of the marriage. And it also says here, we are required to submit proof of marital status. If Ms. Rebecca is changing her name, the employees will be able to change their name. If there's any change of contact information due to marriage, of course, if we wanted to add her spouse as an emergency contact, we could do that. Here we see the current benefits information. And of course, we enrolled in these plans previously, so we know pretty much what the current benefit plans are here. So this just displays to her. And of course, if she wanted to view more detail, of course, then it tells us her son is also enrolled here in the plan. We have the plan website, the date that she was enrolled, and the coverage option also. And the view details could be toggled for each plan option that we have here. Here we have the option to add a new spouse or partner, which we would like to add. We're going to add Brandon Infor. We have our options, our relationship options here. And this is husband. Okay. And we're using the same address. Now we see we have a daughter, a son, and a husband. Here we have our enrollment sheet that we were reviewing earlier. And we could review the same worksheet, and it gives us all of our instructions at the very top of this worksheet here. And pretty much this includes all of the information that we did see on the new hire enrollment, which is the premiums, the plans, everything is just broken down and really neat if the employee wanted to print this information. There's also an eligibility survey tied to this particular life event. Is the spouse employed? Of course, if the spouse, so the eligibility surveys toggle are typically used for marriage life events and any tobacco surcharges. For example, the organization may have a program where they offer any tobacco users to take the program, and if they take the program, then they do not have to pay the tobacco surcharge. However, they would just have to answer those specific questions to let the organization know whether they should go ahead and charge them the tobacco surcharge or wait and let them finish the program and thereafter then charge the tobacco surcharge. That's another time that I've seen the eligibility surveys used. But we're going to say, is our spouse employed? We're going to say no. And you also see here that it says he's eligible. So we see here the high deductible health plan that she's currently enrolled in with the employee plus children option. So now she has options to change, and we're just going to select the family option here. And we have a message that says minimum number of dependents not selected. Please select at least 2. Those are the rules that we have on the family coverage option plan, is a min and a max dependent. So we're going to enroll dependents. We're going to select both Infor and Brandon. We see here dependent successfully enrolled. Going to save and return to enrollment. Okay. So we're now have the family option displaying for us here. We're going to keep our HSA the same. Going to select a dental plan. going to family and enroll our dependents. For our vision plan, we're also going to select family. We're not making any changes to our supplemental life or spending accounts and defined contribution plans here. So we could skip down to our documentation, and it says submit copy of marriage certificate. That's our documentation. Here we have our cost summary, which just shows us our costs for the employee and the employee and our pay period total. And we could submit our request. We have a confirmation and sign off here. And so this marriage event is done. And we can also view our confirmation. And the employee has the option to print all of this information off and save it for their record. So now we will close this demo full cycle because there's something special about this particular life event that I do want to display. As you all see that it is automatically finalized. This life event is set up to automatically finalize regardless of anything else. It just automatically finalized. However, we see that Rebecca Lawson here in our list of life events, we see that it's finalized. However, the documentation status is pending approval. We will still need to approve our documentation and then save the life event. However, this life event in particular was just set up to automatically finalize, just to show you that there are some life events that you can have automatically finalized, and then you go back and you just review the documentation after. And from a benefits perspective, you have access to view all of this information and keep this for your records. This detailed data doesn't go anywhere. You could see their benefit enrollment here. You could see their summary, their confirmation. You could view it here. And of course, we see the same document that the employee sees. And we're back to our dashboard where we just see all of this information for each of our life events. So for today, this was the main portion that I wanted to demo. Pretty much leaving a little room for questions if you guys may have had questions. I know I did go through that pretty fast, but those two life events give a really, really good overview of how easy and smooth the system does flow, and from an employee perspective to a benefits administration perspective, it's pretty seamless. And of course, everything is configurable. So there are lots of things that you could change or edit, or, you know, if you do want this to display, that's a big part of the benefits module within GHR. The difference, in my opinion, between Lawson and GHR benefits is just the ability to configure things and not necessarily configure them on the back end, but when you're building your life events, you can easily make a change to the life event, and it's not detrimental to anything else that you may have going on. So I did see a question, so I'm going to open up the chat. Going to go to the top. Question is, does the employee selection and employee space goes to a temporary or staging place before being uploaded to the benefits table like it was done in Lawson S3? Well, I believe yes and no. That's going to be dependent on if it's automatically finalized. If it's automatically finalized, then the benefit enrollments are automatically created. However, once you finalize the employee's actual enrollment selections, that's when you will actually see them in the system here under the benefits maintenance by resource. There, really quick. And let's go. We see here the options were committed to the system after her new hire event, after we finalize the event. I'm going to answer your next question. For the employees that change their name and the user ID depends on the name, AD, there is a provision from the application to address this. Not to my knowledge, but that is a very good question that I will take back to the technical team and ask. And if Louis, if we could get your email address, Steve, I'm assuming we have it in the list. We will email you that answer back once I get with the technical team. Elizabeth, you would like me to show the worksheet? Okay. Was it a particular worksheet that you wanted me to display, the marriage or the new hire worksheet? Okay. Linda asks, can you sort the list of actions that are pending, approved, needs documentation, etc., so that when you have a large population, you can only look at those that need action without having to look at the entire list? Yes, that is a very, very good question. Yes, you can. Let me get to my particular screen here. So here within Lawson, any screen that has a list form, you could only look for specific items. You could toggle by the event date. You could also order by the benefit group, the employee ID, by the documentation status here, or the enrollment status. You could toggle this view and limit what you see from a lot of different perspectives. And there are also the enrollment exceptions. And the enrollment exceptions are, of course, the employees that have not enrolled, have not started. They may be in draft status, but they did not complete the enrollment. Okay. I have two questions. What happens to S3 enrollment history? I'm not sure I completely understand, but I think I do. There is a history on the employee's records within GHR benefits. But if you're saying S3 history, meaning you're bringing over some of that historical data, that would be a more technical question. But to Rebecca. Any historical plans that the employee is enrolled in is also captured here. So of course, we did do 2 events on this employee back to back. We did the new hire, which began on the 6/1, and then we also did the marriage, which started on 6/8, and we changed some of her benefits. So here we do see the old benefits that were ended here, and the future benefits that are eligible for 7/1. And the current day benefits that she's enrolled in. I'm not really sure if that answers your question about the history. And the second part of the question is what happens if you deny the life event documentation? There is actually a few things that could happen. There's a template and some email automations that will go out to the employees, letting them know that the documentation is denied. Once again, the employee has access to go back to the life event and update and add documentation as needed. So that can be easily done from the employee perspective. If the benefits team wanted to email back that information and the benefits team upload it, or they upload that information, there are multiple ways to do that, but it doesn't cancel the entire life event. Okay. Are there any more questions?
Brittany, this is Steve. Oh, wait, there was one more question I see there that just came across.
Do you have an example of denial or confirmation that is sent to the employee? The confirmation sheets here are typically what are attached to the template. 1 second, let me do some digging here. So we see here the templates that I was discussing. So this is a benefit election submitted with confirmation. So the confirmation document should be attached somewhere into this template. Yep. Is this recorded? If yes, can we get a copy? Okay, yes, I believe this is a recorded call. Okay. Any more other good questions? For an organization, why yearly open enrollment, do all the choices go to a pending area that will then get approved or finalized by the administrator? For example, you have multiple organizations or multiple companies or something specific like that. Because that would definitely depend on access. If you have employees, if you have your process levels, and you don't necessarily keep all of your process levels from an S3 perspective together in GHR, and you don't want everyone of all the companies having access to the same benefits area, then yes, that would totally depend on security and the organization level that the employee is at, and that could be configurable. However, if everyone is in one organization, then yes, they would all see the same dashboard. How about future benefit changes? How will employees be able to see those? Let me look at something really quick. Let me view the dates. Before I answer your question, I want to view the dates on our health plan here. Because I do believe in the My Benefits section that the benefits become available for view once they're actually active. That's the good thing about the confirmation and the other forms of communication and knowing, what you have enrolled in. But let me double check something, because Rebecca has some future items, her dental and her vision, and I want to validate whether they're displaying on her employee record. Okay, yes. So yes, her dental and her vision will be viewable for her on 7/1, not necessarily today, because this is solely based on your current benefits. Okay.
Brittany, I believe that may round up the questions, of course, except for one more. If you want to answer that one, and then I'm going to cut the questions off to end the presentation. Of course, should anybody have future questions, we will be emailing this out with our contact information as well. So, Brittany, I'll mute myself and let you answer this question from Amanda.
Okay, yes. So outside of the enrollment confirmation, she can't see those. Correct, until they're current. But I do believe that is something that Infor is working on changing, with the employees not being able to see the benefits until they're necessarily current. So I'm not sure on that one, but I can ask some questions and I can find out more specifically and email you a better answer for that question.
Excellent. Brittany, thank you very much for your time. That was very informative. I want to thank everybody again for joining us today. We will be sending this out. It has been recorded. Any questions come up, do not hesitate to reach out to us. And other than that, everyone have a wonderful day. And this will conclude today's presentation. Thank you.